On the Status tab, there are various actions you can take to update the page. The first action is to mark the page as reviewed. Once you have reviewed the data on the page, you can set this field to reviewed. This is helpful because the next time you search, you can limit your search to records that have not been reviewed. To update any information on the page, first add a row. Notice that this will set the effective date to the current date. Then you can change the review status to reviewed and then save the record. Notice that the date and time have been updated with the ID and the date that the Save button was pressed. The review flag will remain reviewed until the end of the term. After end of term processing, all the review flags will be set back to needs review. Another circumstance where the flag would be set to not reviewed is when the student goes from an on-track status to an off-track status, so that you are alerted that the student's record needs to be reviewed again. The next action you can take on this page is to modify the student's track term. The most common reason to do this is if the student changes their major. This student is being evaluated against track term 1, so it's just beginning their nursing program. But let's say that they were an upperclassman and were being tracked against term 3 or term 4, and they decided to switch to Spanish, and they haven't taken any of the Spanish classes. If they were assessed on track term 3 as a Spanish major, they would be considered off track. So you may find it appropriate to adjust the track term. To do that, type over the track term and tab out of the field. As soon as you do that, the reason and the comment fields become active. Select a reason from the list and enter an informative comment. Note that the people who run the system really do look at the reason and the comments, and so putting in informative comments will help us make the system work better for you in the future. If we went to the bottom and clicked Save, the current track term would be set to 0, and the status would be set back to not reviewed. After clicking Save, you can use the Reevaluate tab in order to run the processes that would evaluate the student's record. The next action that you can take is for majors that have milestones. You can enter the milestone directly on the page. Here you see the milestone button. Click on the button. It will ask if you are sure that you want to set the milestone. And clicking OK will tell you that the milestone was added successfully. As with the track term, the record has to be reevaluated after setting a milestone, so you won't see the indication that the milestone has been met until the record has been reevaluated. If you click the milestone button a second time, it will tell you that the milestone has been set and reevaluation needs to take place. There is one final action you can take on the page. In some cases, students may be taking transfer coursework at another institution and they have told you that they are transferring it in at the end of the term. Or they may be completing coursework that is a prerequisite for a critical requirement. This student in track term 2 has a requirement to complete 2 courses, Chem 101 or Bio 201 and CDE 232 or Psychology 101. Let's say that they're taking Bio 201 at the community college. By clicking the Transfer Prereq box, you are indicating that the student is taking the class at another institution, or the courses they are enrolled in is a prerequisite for one of these other courses. If this is the only requirement that the student is off track for, it will prevent them from getting an advising hold and being sent an email during the course withdrawal period. From after the drop add period until the course withdrawal deadline, students who are off track receive advising holds and will receive email nightly for being off track so that they will go in and see their advisor. Of course, anytime you make a change, you'll need to go down and click the Save button. The Transfer Prereq checkbox will remain checked until the end of term processing, which is about 10 to 14 days after the end of the semester. This is to give the student enough time to get their transcript in before the end of term history is captured and put on the History tab of the tracking tool. This will not carry forward to the next term, and it will change the status of the requirement.